Hello friends, hi, this is Alok Ojha. Welcome back to Ancient Indian History series. By now we have covered multiple topics like prehistoric culture. Apart from that, Vedic civilization, which we have covered in three important parts. Mahajanpad, the Mauryan Empire, Indica as well as Kautilya's Arthashastra, where we had discussed important topics. And today I'm going to start with Buddhism, the core important philosophy and doctrines of Buddhism. Today we'll focus on that. We'll also focus on journey of enlightenment, how a prince becomes a monk, the journey basically from the vast kingdom to the journey of an ascetic. Here we are going to discuss the entire journey of Lord Buddha. Apart from that, we are also going to discuss about the important places associated with the life of Buddha, sect of Buddhism such as Hinayan, Mahayana as well as Vajrayana. Please stick in the video till the end, because here the topic is quite important, precisely from prelims as well as mains perspective. And one more news guys, from the next month probably I'll be coming up with the live lectures of modern Indian history. So I'll be covering up the modern Indian history series and we'll be going live so that I can directly have interaction with you guys. Okay? So without wasting any more time, let's begin one of the most important chapters of ancient Indian history, which is also a part of art and culture, that is Buddhism. Buddhism and Jainism, they are offshoots of Shramana movement. To be precise, what is Shramana movement? Shramana, it's a Sanskrit word and it finds mention in majority of the Upanishad. So what is the meaning of the word Shramana? Shramana basically means one who strives for his own redemptions. So Buddhism and Jainism are not against Hinduism. I repeat, Buddhism and Jainism are not against Hinduism, but to an extent, they were against the evil practices or empty rites and rituals that were prevalent in that society during the earlier societies, particularly during the later Vedic period. So let's discuss about the origin of Buddhism with the story of Lord Buddha. Let's begin. Buddha, his original name was Siddharth, which means one who achieves his aims irrespective of the circumstances. His father's name was Shuddhodhan. His mother's name was Mahamaya. His father had a rule in the region of Kapilavastu and his mother belonged to Lumbini. His father Shuddhodhan was the head of Sakya clan. Many Buddhist scholars believe that when Mahamaya, mother of Buddha, precisely Siddharth, when she was pregnant, she had a dream. And in that dream, she dreamt of a white elephant entering into her head through her right ear. The next morning when she woke up, she spoke about this dream to her husband Shuddhodhan, who then called an astrologer who tried to decode the dream. And he said that you will get two news. One, it's a good news, and the other one, it's a bad news. At that time, when Mahamaya ji, when she was almost 5 to 7 days away from delivery, she had a wish that she is going to deliver this boy or a girl. Rather than saying boy or a girl, she is going to deliver this at a, maternal place. Now she moved on from Kapilavastu to Lumbini. And as soon as she entered the borders of Lumbini, she started getting labor pains. She had a pain in the stomach. And it is believed that she delivered a baby boy under a sal tree at a place called as Lumbini. And the birth of Buddha in India is celebrated as Buddha Purnima, and in various Southeast Asian countries as Vesaka. Okay, so it is celebrated as Buddha Purnima in India, and in various Southeast Asian countries it is celebrated as Vesaka. Moving with the further part of the story. Now it is believed that, as I have told you, what did the astrologer say? You will get one good news and one bad news. And the good news was the boy was born. Correct? And what was the bad news? Immediately after giving birth to Siddharth, Mahamaya passed away after 7 days. The bad news. So Siddharth was being raised by his aunt, whose name was Prajapati Gautami. I'll repeat the characters again. Listen to me very carefully. Shuddhodhan was his father. Mahamaya was his mother. She passed away specifically after 7 days of the birth of Siddharth. He was being raised up by his aunt, whose name was Prajapati Gautami. Clear? Now, the boy was small. One fine day, an astrologer, rather than saying an astrologer, a Himalayan saint or a seer, an ascetic, he came to the kingdom of Kapilavastu and visited the court of Shuddhodhan. His name was Asita. And now, Asita, as soon as he visited the court, now specifically it is said that the boy was kept in his hand and he has very long hairs. The small boy started playing with his hairs and his leg got stuck up in the hair. Asita saw the leg of that boy and he said to his father Shuddhodhan, he is going to become one of the greatest king or one of the greatest religious reformers, or he'll entirely change the aspects of religion. On one side, he was happy. On the other side, he became sad, Shuddhodhan. Why? If my son becomes a great emperor, that's a very good thing for me. But if he becomes an ascetic, a wanderer, a saint, a religious or a spiritual instructor, what will I do with this mighty kingdom? It is believed that Siddharth had never seen what is pain, what is suffering, what is dukh in his life. He had a very lavish lifestyle. At the very young age of 16, he was married to Yashodhara, his wife, and he had a son named as Rahula. As I've told you, he had a very lavish lifestyle. Now, at the age of 29, once upon a time, Shuddhodhan was out of his town. And this was seen as an opportunity to drive down the town. So Siddharth, along with his charioteer, whose name was Channa, he started doing the Brahman or the wandering part of the town. And he wandered the entire region of the town and came across 4 important things, which in the history of Buddhism is referred as 4 great sights. The first thing that he saw was sight of an old man bent with age. Second thing, sight of a sick man groaning with pain. Third, a corpse or a dead body, which made him think about the future, which made him think about the death, which made him think about the mortal body. And the fourth thing that he saw was an ascetic, a sannyasi, a vairagi. He was very much fascinated by that sannyasi. And he moved towards that sannyasi and asked him a simple question. When there is so much of suffering, dukh, pain in this world, how come you are so calm, cool and composed? Another hypothetical story. It is believed that sannyasi had a dialogue. The vairagi, the ascetic, had a dialogue with Siddharth. He said that initially there was a treasure. It's a hypothetical story, but with a very deep message. Initially, there was a treasure, and this treasure needs to be hidden somewhere. So all the legendary gods thought that it should be hidden somewhere where humans can't reach. Okay. So everyone suggested that it should be hidden beneath the earth. But one god suggested, in the coming years, the science and technology will develop by leaps and bounds, and in that case, the treasure is not safe there. Humans can reach beneath the earth. Point is accepted. So one of the gods suggested, hide it in the atmosphere. But again, if the humans can reach beneath the earth, they can easily reach the antriksh. They can easily reach the atmosphere. One god suggested, do not keep it anywhere. Keep it inside the humans itself. It is the most safest place for this treasure. Why? Because humans will never dive deep inside themselves. And when the humans dive deep inside themselves, this treasure belongs to them. Siddharth was very much fascinated by the dialogues that he had with an ascetic. And at the very young age of 29, okay, he now decided to renounce his worldly life. At the midnight, I repeat, at the midnight, along with his charioteer Channa and his horse Kantak, he decided to renounce his worldly life. And this process in the history of Buddhism is referred as Mahaparinirvana. I repeat, Mahaparinirvana, the process for renunciation. Now, let's move to the second part of the story. As soon as he renounced his worldly life at the very young age of 29, the first place that he visited was Rajgriha. And at that time, Rajgriha was the capital of Magad Empire. Particularly, in Rajgriha, there was rule of Haryanka dynasty, which was being ruled by Bimbisar. And Bimbisar, he was a very good friend. He was a very close friend of Shuddhodhan, father of Siddhartha. And he came to know about this. So at this time, he said that you should go back to your kingdom. You are a prince. You should take over the responsibilities of your father now. But he said that I am on a very different mission in search of truth. And once my mission is completed, I will revisit your kingdom. Please remember this statement. Siddhartha, when he met Bimbisar for the first time at Rajgriha, he said to him, I am on a very different mission in search of truth. And once my mission is completed, I will revisit your kingdom. He left Rajgriha. And now he moved to another place called as Vaishali. Here he met two spiritual gurus, two spiritual teachers who were expert in meditation or meditative practices, Alara Kalam and Udak. He learned the techniques of meditation from Alara Kalam and Udak, wherein he came to know about one important fact for the first time. Usually, we have a connotation in our mind, basically, what? Meditation means influx of positive thoughts. True? But here, Buddha came to know for the first time, rather than saying Buddha, Siddhartha came to know for the first time, meditation basically begins with state of thoughtlessness. No thoughts. He learned it from his spiritual gurus, Alara Kalam and Udak. And after learning this, he became so expert in meditative practices. In fact, Udak said to him, now in my place, you teach the meditation to the disciples. But he gave the same reply, what he gave to Bimbisar. I am on a very different mission in search of truth. Okay. And at that time, there were many other disciples who were also learning from the spiritual teachers like Kondinya. I repeat, Kondinya and 5 others were there who were also learning meditative practices. Moving ahead. Coming back, he left Kapilavastu, came to Rajgriha first, then came to Vaishali where he met his spiritual gurus, and now he lived the life of an ascetic. He wandered from place to place. For the next 6 years, he kept on wandering at different places. His upper part of the body, specifically from the torso region, it was completely naked. He walked barefooted for miles, rather it be rainy season, monsoon season, summer season, or winter season. And finally, at the age of 35, he reached Gaya. Now, as soon as he reached Gaya, there was a river called as Falguni river. There was a river called as Falgu river or Niranjana river. And he sat on the banks of that river, and after some time, he fainted. And there was a lady whose name was Sujata who was passing by. And she immediately caught the glimpse of a fainted man. She went there and offered him rice milk. After having rice milk, it is believed that Siddhartha sat under a peepal tree continuously for 49 days. And on the 49th day, he attained Nirvana. That is enlightenment. And from now onwards, Siddhartha was referred as Buddh, that is the enlightened one. Correct? Mahaparinirvana, the process of renunciation of home. Nirvana, the enlightened men. Buddha, the enlightened one. So, Buddha attained enlightenment on the banks of Niranjana or Falgu river under a peepal tree. Correct? Now, days passed away. He had acquired a lot of knowledge. Now, one fine day, he moved on to a place called as Sarnath, which is near Varanasi. Okay? Now, rather than saying Sarnath, I'll give you a small example. Now, before he goes to the place called as Sarnath, he went to a place called as Chaukhandi, which is also in Varanasi. Okay? As he reached Chaukhandi, he met his old friends. Who are they? Kondinnya and 5 others, who are also learning what we say meditation from whom? Alara, Kalam and Udak, the spiritual gurus or the teachers of Buddha. He met him at Chaukhandi. And now, from here onwards, they moved to a deer park. I repeat, they moved into a deer park located at Sarnath near Varanasi. So, Buddha delivered his first sermon at a place called as Sarnath near Varanasi in a deer park. Hence, the Heenyan followers of Buddhism, we'll look into it further. The Heenyan followers of Buddhism connote deer with disciples of Buddha. Why? Because the first sermon was held in a deer park at a place called as Sarnath near Varanasi. Clear? Buddha is also referred as Sakya Muni, since his father was head of Sakya clan. He is also referred as Tathagat, pathfinder of truth. Now, he got enlightenment, and the news of his enlightenment spread like a wildfire and reached Kapilavastu. His father, Shuddhodhan, came to know about this. And when his father came to know about this, it is believed that, what? It is believed that his father sent delegates for 10 times. 9 times when the delegates reached Buddha, they became his disciple. Okay. And at the 10th time, he decided that he will be visiting his father's kingdom, Kapilavastu. Okay. Now, before moving with the further part of the story, let me tell you one more terminology. As I've told you previously, Buddha delivered his first sermon at a place called as Sarnath near Varanasi. Correct? So that process in the history of Buddhism is referred as Dharma Chakra Parivartan. I repeat, Dharma Chakra Parivartan. Let's continue with the story. So now he decided that he'll go back to his father's kingdom. Okay. Now while going back to Kapilavastu, he halted at a place called as Rajgriha. Do you remember the statement that I've told you before? That he had promised Bimbisar that once my purpose of life is completed, or once my search of truth is completed, I will revisit your kingdom. So he again visited Rajgriha. Here he saw that people are suffering. And in that case, to alleviate the suffering of the people from their dukkhas, from their pain, he started Buddhist Sangh for the first time in Magad or Rajgriha. Buddhist Sangh is a monastic order. Okay? And now, finally, he reached Kapilavastu. It is also believed that his wife became his follower. His father, he became his follower. Now, Buddha has solved many questions of life. Like, I'll give you a simple example. Like, he attained enlightenment at the age of 35. He died at the age of 80 and he delivered sermons across different parts of India, particularly northern part of India, for the next 45 years. And answered many unsolved questions. Like, I'll give you another simple example. Like, there was a man who came to Buddha and he asked him, what is the purpose of life? Okay. Or basically, I cannot understand what is the purpose of life, and I'm getting judged by the people. A very beautiful story. So Buddha picked up a stone, again a hypothetical story, but with a very deep message. He picked up a stone, gave it to that person and said, go, or he asked that question, what is the value of life? Rather than saying the story, rather than saying the question as what is purpose of life, what is value of life? So Buddha gave the stone to that person and said, go and find the value of this stone, but do not sell it. A hypothetical story, again with a very deep message. That person went to a nearby, vegetable vendor. He said that he saw the stone. He said, no, there is no value of this stone. If you want some vegetables or fruits, pay money and then take it. Although he had the intention not to sell it. Then he moved towards a person who was selling some certain fruits. He said that, what is the value of this? Can you give me some fruits on behalf of this stone? So he looked at it. The person who was selling the fruits, he said, it is looking a bit nicer. So I can use this as a showpiece at my home. So he said that I can give you 1 kg or 2 kgs of fruits on behalf of this. But he did not have to sell it. He now went to a goldsmith. Goldsmith saw this and said that I'll give you so and so rupees. Very heavy amount. He did not have to sell it. He started moving out of the shop. He said, finally, I'll give you this much amount. Again, he became astonished. A simple stone, such a heavy amount he is ready to pay. Okay. And what Buddha had told him, you don't have to sell this stone. Finally, he moved towards a person selling diamond. Person who observed it, he said that this is a very precious stone. Even if I sell my entire property, I won't be able to pay for this stone. He came to Buddha, he gave back the stone, and he narrated the entire episode or the entire story to Buddha. So Buddha asked him, now did you understand what is value of life? He said, no. He said, when you went for the first time to the vegetable vendor, he said, basically what? I'll give you, like, I won't give you any vegetables. You give me money and take the vegetables. Then you went to the fruit seller. He said, I'll give you this much amount of fruits. Then you went to a goldsmith. Then you went to a diamond seller. It simply means that everyone would be judged according to their intelligence. Correct? So at every point of time in your life, people will judge you. But it doesn't mean that you demean your value. Correct? That stone is a very precious stone. And the person like goldsmith and the diamond seller knew about this. So people will judge you. But what you need to understand, one of the most important aspect, that you need to focus on your quality and work. Correct? These are the beautiful things that Buddha had said to his disciples, and it changed life of many. Now, coming to further part of the story. Around the age of 80, now it is believed that he had a very close disciple, one of his favorite disciple, whose name was Anand. And now Buddha said to Anand that I feel now the time of my passing by is near. And so he left Vaishali and moved towards the northern part of Vaishali, along with his favorite disciple Anand. And many people initially accompanied him, but Buddha told these people that first of all, you need to fulfill your worldly responsibilities. And this is a mortal body. Everyone has to leave it. Everyone went away. Now, one fine day, Anand was sitting along with his guru, Buddha. And Buddha heard of a person weeping outside his hut. So Buddha asked Anand, who is weeping? Who is crying outside my hut? Please go and see. Immediately Anand went there and he saw a person named as Bhadrak. I repeat, a person named as Bhadrak who was weeping there. So Buddha told Anand, please call him. He came in and he asked Buddha, Buddha initially asked, what is the reason for your crying? Do you have any pain? Do you have any dukh? Are you suffering from something? He said that, I have heard that you are going to relinquish your body. Correct? Who is going to show us the path? Who is going to answer our questions if you leave your body? So Buddha smiled and said a beautiful word, a statement rather than saying a word. Apadipo bhava. I repeat, Apadipo bhava. Be your own light. Rather than focusing on where should I get or who will act for my upliftment, find your own light. Be your own light. Search for your own knowledge, and that hides within you. Nobody can elevate you from your suffering. It is believed that probably various Buddhist scholars, I am using the word probably. This might be a disputable point because various Buddhist scholars believe that to an extent, these might be some among the last words of Buddha. I'm not saying these are the last words of Buddha. These are some among the last words of Buddha. And now, Buddha, he moved to the region of Kushinagar. Okay? At Kushinagar, he had its last meal from a blacksmith named as Kunda. And many Buddhist scholars believe that Kunda served him Sukar Madhav. Now, what is Sukar Madhav? Some Buddhist scholars or historians believe that it is either a tuber or a yam. And some believe that it's a pork meat. So Buddha, after having this, he had a bit of stomachache. And now Kunda, he thought that Buddha might be having stomachache after having Sukar Madhav. So he said, no, the time of my passing is nearby. There's nothing to be blamed upon you. So he asked his disciple Anand two things. And what are these two things? First thing, I am bearing my own karma. And the time has come where the soul will depart from this mortal body. So nobody will blame Kunda for this. And second thing, my teachings, like I have been very closely associated with 4 places. Lumbini, my birthplace. Secondly, Bodh Gaya, where I attained enlightenment. Third, Sarnath, where I delivered my first sermon. And Kushinagar, where I am taking my last breath. I want my teachings to spread in these regions. These are my 2 major wishes. And everyone needs to work for their salvation because this is a mortal body. Correct? So probably various Buddhist scholars believe that these are the last words of Buddha towards his disciple Anand. And Buddha took his last breath at a place called as Kushinagar or Pava. Kushinagar, it is also referred as Kushavati. Now Kushavati, because the name Kushavati has been derived from a grass called as Kush. Okay? What is Kush? Kush is cord grass. You can Google it, you can see it. It is cord grass, Kush. Okay? And Buddha used to sit on this grass and meditate. Hence, this is referred as Kushinagar or Kushavati. Now Buddha passed away. Now it is believed that before conducting empty rites and rituals, everyone was waiting for one more disciple of Buddha whose name was Mahakashyap. Now, before that, it is believed that before Mahakashyap arrived, what happened? There was a lot of disputes, and there were disputes among 7 other, like 8 to 9 people or 8 to 9 representatives. And what was the dispute? Who is going to keep the relics of Buddha? Correct? Like Mallas says that, Mallas of Kushinagar said that we are going to keep all the relics of Buddha. So it is believed that many Buddhist scholars, like there's specifically one of the articles on that as well. And that article has been mentioned in Mahaparinirvana Sutta, which mentions that probably a dispute was so heavy or heated dispute that people were ready to fight for this. Who is going to keep the relics of Buddha? So a Brahmin named as Drona arrived. Okay, a Brahmin named as Drona arrived and he tried to settle the disputes on one condition, that certain part of the relics would be kept by me. Everyone accepted. And it is believed that the relics of Buddha were distributed among 8 royal families. Some believe that it was 10 royal families. Okay, like I'll give you a few examples. Like Lichavis of Vaishali, Mallas of Kushinagar, Mallas of Pava, Kolyans of Ramagram. Okay, then Bulis or Bulayas basically of Alakappa, which is again located in Bihar. So there were 8 such important royal families and the relics of Buddha were distributed. And the death of Buddha in the history of Buddhism is referred as Mahaparinirvana. Okay? It is believed that later on these relics were distributed among different places and stupas were constructed over them. So stupa signifies death of Buddha or Mahaparinirvana of Buddha. In the coming years, as we have seen earlier, excuse me, in the coming years, as we have seen earlier, Ashoka became the staunch follower of Buddhism. It is believed that Ashoka constructed more than 84,000 stupas across northern part of India. So this is majorly about the initial part of Buddhism. And these are the important places, as we have seen: Lumbini, birthplace of Buddha; Kapilavastu, the head of Sakya clan; Rajgriha, the first place visited; Vaishali, he met his spiritual gurus; Bodh, Gaya, he attained enlightenment; Sarnath, his first sermon, and so on. Correct? Guys, in this story, which we have spoken about within next 10 to 15 minutes, in the previous 10 to 15 minutes, we came across 5 to 6 important concepts. First was great sights, 4 great sights. What are they? An old man bent with age, a sick man groaning with pain, a corpse or a dead body, and the fourth one, ascetic or a sannyasi. Then second concept that we came across was Mahabhinishkraman, the great renunciation, or the process for renunciation of the worldly life. Then comes what? Nirvana, the enlightenment. Then comes Dharma Chakra Parivartan, the first sermon, or turning the wheel of law, which was delivered by Buddha at a place called as Sarnath near Varanasi. We came across a terminology called as Tathagat, that is pathfinder of truth. Mahaparinirvana, that is Buddha leaving his mortal body, death of Buddha. So this is nothing but how a prince became a monk, the journey from Siddhartha to Buddha. Hope it was interesting and hope you got to learn something new. Correct, guys? Now let's move on. This is the pictorial format of everything. Okay? So that it will help you to remember things in an easier manner. Got it, guys? Let's move on with next topic. 4 Noble Truths and 8-fold Path. As per the philosophy of Buddhism or various Buddhist doctrines, one should remember 4 major aspects. First, suffering is inevitable. If you have taken a birth as a human, you have to suffer. Second, there is a cause of suffering. There are certain reasons of suffering. If there is a cause of suffering, obviously you can come out of this suffering. Cessation of suffering. And how to come out of that, what we say suffering? This is called as path to cessation of suffering. And that path to cessation of suffering is called as Madhyam Marg or Ashtangika Marg or 8-fold path. Okay. Now what is dukh? What is suffering? What is sorrow? The first part, that is sorrow, dukh or suffering. What is dukh or sorrow? What is suffering? Sometimes it is believed that various Buddhist scholars of that time believe that sorrow might be an illusion, or sorrow might be a part that doesn't exist actually. Now let me tell you a small story on this. There was a very wealthy merchant who used to travel to distant places for his trading purpose. And one fine day he traveled to a particular place, and while coming back he had some time. So he thought that I'll purchase something for my wife, my parents, my children. Okay, he purchased many things for them. Now he wanted to purchase something for himself. So he purchased a vase for himself. Okay, and he came back to home. He gave all the gifts to his family members and he kept the vase for himself. And he asked his servant that clean the vase on daily basis. It is a very delicate vase. It shouldn't be broken. Okay. Apart from that, do not keep artificial flowers in them. Fresh flowers should be kept in the vase on daily basis. And the servant did this on daily basis as instructed by the master. One fine day, Master was having his lunch. He was having his food. And he heard a noise of breaking something. Immediately he ran and he saw that vase was broken by the servant. He got infuriated. He got very angry and annoyed on the servant. But he could not say anything to the servant. Why? Because this servant had served him loyally for years. He was angry. He was sad at the same time. Okay? Now, he couldn't sleep in the night. Initially, he used to have 4 to 5 chapatis. Now, he only has 1 chapatis. Okay? He couldn't sleep in the night. He became restless. And one fine day, he was walking through his, gallery. And he saw that his servant was having a very beautiful sleep. Again, he got angry. This person does not have iota of, he doesn't have any iota of regret for this. He has broken my vase. Next morning, he woke up and he called his servant and he said to him, do you know one thing? This vase was brought for you, not for me. I had just kept this vase for a few days. At this point of time, what happened? His daily routine got resumed now. He is having a wonderful sleep. He is having a good breakfast, good lunch, good dinner. Okay. And the situation is opposite with the servant. Now he is restless. He cannot sleep he cannot sleep throughout the night. So here, what is dukh? What is sorrow? What is suffering? Sorrow or suffering is a thing that exists in our mind. It's an illusion. I'll give you a small example. A very small example. Correct. Suppose a very small incident occurs in your life. A very small incident occurs in your life. I'm pretty sure 90% of we people will think the end of everything. The most extreme case just on the basis of the small incident. Isn't that true? Correct? Which we, in present day terms, we call it as overthinking. That becomes the cause of our suffering. That becomes the cause of our sorrow or dukh. Correct? So there is an 8-fold path to come out of this suffering. And this 8-fold path has been basically classified or categorized into 3 paths: wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. Okay? Wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. Let me explain you these concepts with the help of few examples, because I personally believe that learning history with examples and case studies plus stories, it makes things quite interesting. True? So wisdom. So what is wisdom basically? Wisdom in simple words, it's knowledge plus experience. How? Suppose there's a small boy, there's a child. And if you instruct him, do not go near the fire, your hands will get burnt. What will happen? Forget about child. If we people are stopped from doing something, we'll do that work first. Why? Because it's a human psychology, it's a human tendency. Because we develop a curiosity to know things. Now that child is being stopped from going near the fire. Now this child goes near the fire, he gets his hands burned. Okay? Now what happened? Initially he had the knowledge that if I go near the fire, my hands will get burnt. Now he also gets the experience. Knowledge plus experience is equals to wisdom. Now whenever he will see the fire, he will stay away from it at least 20 feet. So wisdom, it is very important. Second important thing, ethical conduct. Whatever good things that you have learnt in life should be reflected in your character. Let me correlate this with the help of a few examples. Like you might have heard about Mahatma Gandhi's 6 to 7 social sins. One among the sin is education without character. Correct? Is a social sin. Like you guys are preparing for civil services. Every one of you aspires to become an IAS or an IPS. You guys would be trained in Labasana. What is the motto of Labasana? Sheelam Param Bhushanam. Character is a prime virtue. True? So whatever you have learnt, particularly good things in life, should be reflected in your character. I have given you a small example. Education without character is a social sin. Politics without principles, it's a social sin. Science without morality is a social sin. Like, I'll give you one of the smallest example. Every one of us have been through the phase of Corona. Correct? The entire nation, forget about the entire nation, the entire world was gripped under Corona. Correct? And at this point of time, you might have heard about an injection called as Remdesivir. Correct? I'm giving an example to make things easier for you guys. Remdesivir. True? Now, this injection is approximately around, the syringe is approximately around 1200 to 1500 rupees. But it was sold at 25,000 to 30,000 rupees. And if a person who is going through severe case of Corona, he had to take at least 8 to 10 doses of Remdesivir. 25,000 multiplied by 10. How many poor people can afford this? Science has developed, but where is the morality? So science without morality, it's a social sin. So whatever we have learned should be reflected in our character, ethical conduct. And finally comes mental discipline. Now, wisdom, right understanding and right thought. One thing that needs to be remembered, right understanding is correlated to sorrow. Why or how? There is no limit to desire. Desire and attachment are the root cause of sorrow. I repeat, desire and attachments are root cause of sorrow. How? Suppose you have a normal phone, keypad phone. Now you keep on desiring for what? You keep on desiring specifically for, I want a new Android phone or a smartphone. You buy a smartphone. Now you are very happy for a few days. But can you guarantee me one thing? That you won't develop a new desire for an Android phone? As soon as the Android phone comes in the market, what you'll do? You'll have a new desire. I want an Android phone now. Now you buy an Android phone. You have another desire after some time. I want an iPhone. Okay, fulfilled. After some time, you'll have another desire. I want the latest version of the iPhone. Correct? It simply signifies one thing. There is no limit to the desire. Correct? So, basic thing. Here we need to understand, one needed to limit his desires to have a, what we say, blissful life. And desire as a root cause of sorrow. So right understanding is that, first thing that we need to understand, desire has no limits. Correct? Like, I was watching one of the videos on Instagram and that was a very attractive video. It was a very good concept that they portrayed. There was a man on a bicycle. Okay. And he saw a car basically nearby him, and it was a rainy season, and he was cursing, like he was cursing God, like, I'm doing a lot of hard work and I'm not getting anything in return. Okay. And on the other side, like he saw on his right side, there was a beautiful car. On the other side, he saw a bicycle. So at the same moment, he started feeling good for it, that at least I'm blessed. I have a motorcycle. Correct? So a very simple example. True. A person, suppose there is a person who is standing here. This person is in Mercedes, and now he's feeling that, yes, this person has a Rolls Royce. A person who has a Honda City, he's seeing a person has a Mercedes. A person who is here basically on a motorcycle, yes, he has a car. A person who is here on bicycle, he sees that, yes, he has a motorcycle. A person who is walking, he sees that he has a cycle. And person who does not have legs. Correct? So all these people, they need to be what? They need to feel blissful, blessed, that at least they have legs. True? Then comes right thought. Right understanding, did you understand? Desire has no limits. Right thought. Guys, these are philosophical things. I'm not giving a basic pravachan, but these are philosophical things, guys. You need to understand this. Now, what is right thought? Stay away from empty rites and rituals. As I've told you previously itself, Buddhism and Jainism are offshoots of shramana movement, which is against evil practices or empty rites and rituals. So one need to understand that one has to stay away from empty rites and rituals. Now I'll give you a small example, although part of joke, but it's an example. Suppose, like usually we have a tradition, and what tradition is that? Suppose we go for an examination, and before going to an examination, we have curd and what? Sugar. It's a kind or a symbol of luck. True? Now I'll give you a small example. You do not study throughout your year. Throughout your year. And before going to the examination, you have a curd and sugar. Will you get pass? I'm not talking about the university examination. I'm talking about a UPSC examination. Will you get pass? If you have a strong luck, you can get pass. But in that case, will you get pass if you have not studied throughout the year? So these are empty rites and rituals that we need to understand. Correct? So stay away from empty rites and rituals. I'll give you one of the finest example. Like I'm connecting this point to one of the very famous, I personally feel that he's a very good saint. And his philosophy is very simple philosophy. Performance of karma. That is Premanand Maharaj Ji. You might have heard about him. A very simple philosophy and a beautiful philosophy. And he has changed the life of millions of people. True? Coming back here. Ethical conduct, as I've told you previously, ethical conduct basically means what? Ethical conduct means it should be reflected in your character. Always speak the truth. One should earn his livelihood with honest means. Then comes mental discipline, right effort. Perform good karmas, reduce the bad karmas. Right concentration. This is the most important part for you guys. How? Listen to me. I'll correlate this to one of the stories of Akbar and Birbal. Now, there was a person, he was a very wealthy merchant, and apart from being wealthy, he was also involved in various philanthropic activities, various charitable activities. Whatever money he used to earn, he used to spend that money for the welfare of his people. But still people criticized him. They used to say that he's a greedy merchant. He has not earned his money by his, hard work. So he used to feel sad about this, that I am working for the welfare of the society, I am helping out the people, but still they are criticizing me. Now this merchant went to Birbal, one of the Navratnas of Akbar, okay, whose original name was Mahesh Das Ji. So Birbal said, okay, come along with me. So Birbal gave him a bowl, and the bowl had a water in it, which was full till the brim. He said that, come and walk along with me, and not even a single drop of water should fall on the ground. Okay. Now from one part of the city, they started walking to the other part of the city. Rather than saying city, one part of the road to the other part of the road. Now this person was holding this bowl in his hand very carefully. Birbal was going. And as soon as they reached the end of the road, Birbal said, okay, did you actually listen what people were talking about you? He said, Birbal, you are such a, you are a person who is known for intellect and wisdom. What kind of stupid question is this? You only had said that just focus on the water and not even a single drop of water should fall from the bowl. How could I listen to the people when my entire attention, my entire focus was on the bowl? Birbal said, this is your answer. Simple words. Just focus on what you are doing. Let the people say what they want to say, because this is the society. They will say. Right concentration. Right concentration. And right mindfulness. Think about pious thing. I'll give you one of the smallest example. I was going through one of the, I was reading this in Quora. Okay. What is the, impact of thoughts on individual's life? It has a great impact on an individual's life about what you think. Correct? It actually reflects in your personality. If you continuously keep on thinking about negative things, it will reflect in your personality. If you have a positive thought, it will reflect in your personality. I'll give you one of the examples. In America, in jail, it was decided that one of the prisoners would be given capital punishment. Okay. And at this point of time, he needs to be hanged to death. But he wanted what? He wanted that he had two options, hanged to death, or he would be bitten by a, snake. So he chose the second option, that I want to be bitten by a snake. So scientists at that time, they experimented with one thing. Now what happened? They closed the eyes of that prisoner, okay, and it is believed that they actually did not get the snake. Now they had 2 pins, and these 2 pins were hurted on the, what we say, knees of this prisoners. It is believed that the prisoners died after 2 hours. And he died because of the same poison that is present in the snake. Actually, he was not bitten by the snake. It was just the 2 pins. And this is a case study in, what we say, America. You can Google it basically. This is the power of your thoughts. Right mindfulness. Think about pious things. So in general, this is nothing but 4 noble truths, four noble truths and 8-fold path, also referred as Ashtangika Marg or Madhyam Marg. Points clear, guys? Any query, any doubt, any question? So this is the explanation part. Let's understand about the symbols associated with Buddha. Now, it's a factual thing. Now, listen to me carefully. Like, there are majorly 3 sects of Buddhism. Majorly. Heenyan, Mahayana and Vajrayana. Okay. It is believed that Heenyan are considered as the true followers of Buddha. And they did not believe in idol worship. They believed in symbolic worship. So, they did worship certain symbols. So, lotus, it is associated with birth of Buddha. Horse, as I have told you previously, that Buddha renounced his worldly life at the age of 29 in the midnight. Okay. And he was left into the jungles by his, what we say, charioteer, whose name was Channa, and horse Kantak. So what does the horse signify or symbolize? It simply signifies the great renunciation, the process of renunciating his worldly life. People tree or Bodhi tree, this is a tree which symbolizes the Nirvana, enlightenment of Buddha, because he attained enlightenment under a people tree on the banks of Niranjana or Falgu river. Got it? Then Dharma Chakra, he delivered his first sermon at a place called as Sarnath near Varanasi in a deer park. So Dharma Chakra, first sermon. Deer are the disciples of Buddha. Why? Because the first sermon was delivered to Kondinya and 5 others. Okay, in a deer park. So deer signifies what? The specifically disciples of Buddha. Conch shell in Hindi basically means shank. It represents the thoughts of Buddha, which are quite pious in nature. Lion's roar, what does it signify? The teachings of Buddha. Then comes stupa. As I have told you, after the Mahaparinirvana or death of Buddha, his body relics were distributed by Brahmin Drone among 8 royal families. And stupa was constructed over it. So stupa signifies or symbolizes death of Buddha or Mahaparinirvana. Okay? Very important concept. Now let's understand Heenyan, Mahayana and Vajrayana within next 5 minutes. Heenyan. They believed in original teachings of Buddha. Frankly speaking, precisely speaking, they believed that Buddha was not a god. He was a normal human being like us, but he strived for his own redemption. He followed certain rules and regulations, and then he attained enlightenment. Then he attained nirvana. Then he attained what? True knowledge. So if anyone follows the path that is preached by Buddha, he can also become Buddha. So the followers of Heenyan, they believed in the concept of Pratyek Buddha. Everyone can become Buddha if they follow the path that is preached by Buddha. Correct? So the followers of Heenyan are known as Arhat. Arhat means one who strives for his own redemption. Correct? They are called as the lower vehicle for salvation. Heen means lower vehicle for salvation. Yan means vehicle. Heen means lower. They also belong to Theravada tradition. I repeat, they also belong to Theravada tradition. We'll understand this tradition in forthcoming lectures. Okay? And this section of Heenan is famous in the region of Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Laos. Majority of the literature of Heenan is in Pali language. Got it? Let's move further. Mahayana. Mahayana. Maha means great. Yan means vehicle. Greater vehicle for salvation. So what did they believe? Rather than worshipping Buddha, or rather than following the path that has been preached by Buddha, we can worship Buddha. So they started the practice of idol worship. So the genesis of idol worship can be traced back to Mahayana form of Buddhism. So they believed in idol worship. They believed in something called as infusion of bhakti. So bhakti, it's a feature of Hinduism. So Mahayana has both the features, Hinduism and Buddhism. Mahayana form of Buddhism also believed in one more concept, and that concept is called as Bodhisattvas. I repeat, that concept is called as Bodhisattvas. So who are Bodhisattva? Now Bodhisattvas are basically those holy Buddhists who are very close to attain enlightenment, but they stop the process of attaining enlightenment. Why? Because they want to alleviate the people of their suffering. So whatever they have experienced through through this journey of enlightenment, with the help of this, they will alleviate the suffering of the people. And such people or such monks are referred as Bodhisattvas. They are also referred as Buddha in making. Okay? Buddhist scholars like Nagarjuna and Asang founded Mahayana form of Buddhism. Okay, it is famous in India, Southeast Asia, China and Japan. Vajrayana form of Buddhism. Vajra. Vajra means weapon. Yan means vehicle. They believed in worship of Taras. Taras are what? Basically, wife of Buddha and Bodhisattvas. Okay. And in that case, they believed in one concept. And what was that? They believed in the concept that if we worship the wife of Buddha and Bodhisattvas, they will bless us with the Vajra, with the weapon. And that weapon will become the path for our salvation. So this section is called as Vajrayana form of Buddhism. So they believed in Tantra, Yantra and Mantra. Hence, Vajrayana form of Buddhism is also referred as Tantric Buddhism. I repeat, it is also referred as Tantric Buddhism. Manjushri Moolakalp. Is a book on Tantric Buddhism. Ratna Gotra Vibhag, another book on Tantric Buddhism. So this was being propagated by whom? The followers of Vajrayana. So guys, hope the session was interesting. Hope you got to learn something new. So in the forthcoming lectures, I would be coming up with new theories of Buddhism. Like we'll come up with the stupa architecture. We'll come up with a concept like Chaitya and Vihar. And then I'll move up with another important concept, Jainism. Guys, as I've told you, in the forthcoming month, probably we can come up with live sessions of modern India. Okay? Okay, guys. So I'll take your leave. Hi, this is Alok Ojha. Once again, I'll take your leave. Thank you and have a wonderful day.